Russia warns it could, quote, reduce to zero economic dependency on the U.S., stop using the dollar, and pull out of business deals with the, quote, United States. The globalists don't care. That'll just depress both Russian and U.S. markets, which allows the globalist parasites to come in and further consolidate control. That's why Wall Street said, go ahead, do it. We'll just inflate our own systems. Of course, that may be an empty threat because even though the stock market's rigged, it went down a lot yesterday on concerns, and so they kind of backed off a little bit as well. Putin calls using force in Ukraine a last resort. Again, orders troops to stop advancing. That's New York Post. Ukraine conflict, global economic crisis brewing, or local problem. The Christian Science Monitor asked that question. I say it has the potential for both. Putin blames coup for Ukraine crisis, says Russian reserves the right to continue to use force. Well, it is a coup. A Western-backed system did overthrow an elected government. Whether that elected government was good or not, the outside forces did that on Russia's doorstep. And our government, run by George Soros and Soros groups, literally that's who's behind Obama to a great extent, is trying to overthrow Russia itself. Can you imagine if Russia was trying to overthrow the U.S. government, what would happen? I mean, this is incredible. It's like, come on, be a nice sport, Russians. And again, people go, what, are you for the corrupt Russian government? Hey, man, they're not over here trying to take my guns. They're not over here trying to run my life. You know, I want to be clear here. I don't romanticize Vladimir Putin. I don't romanticize the Russians. But it's wrong to use al-Qaeda to attack the Syrians and start a war. And so Russia was on the right side of that, and our own military agreed with that. And a lot of the Republican leadership did it, as well as Democrats, and that stopped. And it's wrong with George Soros to go in and start this revolution in Ukraine, even though I know that Ukrainians have some real issues with Russian influence in the East. I get all that. My issue is, as George Washington said, these foreign entanglements are wrong, and we have seen enough of American blood, sweat, tears, and our name being used for corporate interest. Because if you look at what's happened, they've just appointed, as the deputy prime minister over there, a central banker who's planning to basically loot the country. So there's been some neocon attacks on us saying we're putting out pro-Russia propaganda. And I just want to respond to those people that that's intellectually bankrupt. We are against funding al-Qaeda out of Saudi Arabia to go in and blow up 500 churches or more in Syria, preemptively, to turn that country over to Islamicists. Now look at Iraq, much worse than it was. Country's overrun by jihadis from both camps. Iran's there. It's a serious situation. And this is not for American interest. This is for globalist interest that all of this is going on. That's where I stand on this. And out of these political wars and economic wars and financial wars, we the people end up losing in the final equation.